How do I?
Ready? Everyone can hear us online? I'd like to call the work action meeting of the Bogota Board of Education of Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. In order, please stand for the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests are acted upon. Gotta meet someone. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. Irfan?
Mrs. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Chavez,
Present.
Mrs. Cruz,
Present.
Mr. Navarro,
Present.
Mrs. Olivo,
Present.
Mr. Ortega,
Present.
Ms. Rackett,
Present.
Mr. Miranda.
Present.
We have the quorum.
Full board tonight. Also present are Superintendent Damian Kennedy, someone very special to our district as well, Student Council Representative Valerie Brito, Board Attorney William Sukis, School Business Administrator Board Secretary Irfan Nefsel, and Assistant Board Secretary Elizabeth Ruiz. Thank you. Moving on to section 2.1, hearing of citizens on agenda items only. May I have a motion to open the floor to hearing of citizens?
Motion, John.
Mr. Ortega,
Second.
Mr. Chavez for a second. On agenda, is there, okay, thank you, second. Any board discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public on agenda items only? Speaker, please state your name and street address. You have 5 minutes. Mr. Kennedy, there's no one present physically. Is there anyone online?
Carmel.
Hi, good evening, Carmel Birdie, 162 East Portland Road. I have 3 questions and I think they're all on the agenda tonight. So, number 1 is the new school bus grant I saw for the electric school bus. Is that 290,000 going to cover the bus and the charging station install? And also, where is the charging station going to be for that bus? Because I know they park down in the rec center. So I was just wondering about that. In regards to the referendum, I saw that you're going to be posting that up for to go to the board. I don't know if these questions are appropriate, but March 14th was originally a half day of school for the referendum, which is the referendum vote day. Is that now going to be a full day off of school for voting? And then the last one, I don't know if it's addressed in this question or after, on the referendum for the second part. If perchance it goes through and it's voted in and the town does not cooperate with the changes to the town property, will you still do something with the field within the bounds of the school boundary? And how would that work? So those are my questions.
So I'll let Irfan answer the electric school bus, but the second question, it's still going to be a half a day. We have professional development plan that day. Plus, we don't like to have students because of lunch in the building on election days. And your third question, yes, if the town does not allow us to make improvements to their land, we can still make improvements to our land. You know, however we see fit with that.
So it's going to be a whole day off of school?
No, half day.
But from my understanding from the council was that the polls will be open from 6 o'clock like a normal voting day. And
They
there's
will.
polling in the high school.
Correct. So what will happen is The gym is closed down to the students that day. They only use half of the other side. We close off the building where they would come in. We try to leave parking open for the voters up the upper lot. We have class 3 and police officers stationed that day, but the half day is because then in the elementary at Bixby, we can't have lunch there. So that's why we have the half day.
Okay, thank you.
For the electric bus, the grant is paying the charger and the new bus except the new diesel bus. So that is already budgeted. We have that money in our budget to cover that, more than $100,000. And for the charger, we are parking in the rec department right now. So we need to work with the borough when we have that charger over there, but the installation and everything, we have the grant for it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for the public? Do I have a motion to close hearing? We're good, right? Do I have a motion to close hearing on hearings of the citizens on agenda items only? Thank you, Mrs. Olivo. A second,
Second, John.
Mr. Ortega, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to section 3.1, Superintendent's Report, Mr. Kennedy.
So first, I'm going to turn it over to our student rep for her report tonight. Just make sure your microphone's on screen.
Yeah, it is. Good evening, everyone. Recently, our winter track team competed at the Varsity Classic, and later this week, we'll be competing at the NJSIAA Group 1 State Sectional Championships. Our wrestling team has had a great season, and this past Monday participated in the NJSIAA Group 4 State Sectional Tournament against Morris Knoll. Our bowling team will be competing this Friday at the NJSIAA Group 1 State Sectional Championships. Along with this, our drama department that has been working hard to prepare for our upcoming musical will have the privilege of being considered for the Rising Star Award by Paper Mills Playhouse. Lastly, this following Thursday, the school will be having a pep rally to honor our winter sports. That is all. Thank you for your time.
So to piggyback off of that, I did want to bring up our indoor track team, which is it's almost a club right now for the first year. Mr. Rockford is donating pretty much his time because he's not receiving much money to run the indoor track team. So far, they've competed in 4 meets. Amadine Fernandez won the NJIC Conference Championship in the 2 miles last week, and she is Bogota's first Winter Track League champion. The team will compete in the state sectional championships in Toms River on Friday and the Bergen County Championship next week. So kudos to them. Also, the last 2 weeks, Bogota has a mock trial team. 10 of our high school students competed the past 2 weeks in a real courtroom with a real judge against other schools, and they try a case. 10 of these students did a tremendous job. For their first time, they actually competed against seasoned schools that have been doing this for 3 or 4 years. By the time they're seniors, our coaches were very excited at the progress they made this year, and the kids were excited, and we're looking forward to next year for them competing as well. And then lastly, over the last 2 weeks, over 400 parents and community members have attended our informational meetings. Over the last 2 weeks, we're receiving a lot of great questions and a lot of great feedback. Our website has future meeting dates over the next 4 weeks and where we will be holding them, and if there's virtual links to them. So if you haven't had a chance to attend, please get on our website and check it out. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Kennedy. Those meetings that are gonna go on, they're piggybacking off the regular PTO meetings in the
Yeah.
schools, right? So is the public also allowed to attend those if they're not PTO members?
Yes, because so what we're trying to do, when I sent it out originally, the newsletter said these meetings will be discussing them. If you live near there and you would like to come. Last night at Steen, we provided a virtual link. Bixby is going to have a virtual link for anyone, so we are going to promote it as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Moving on to section 4.3, approval of agenda items only, 4.1, which includes the minutes of January 3rd, 2023 reorganization, and January 17th, public meeting, open session. Are there any comments from the Board of Corrections? Thank you. Moving on to section 5.3 of the policy section of the agenda, which is for approval of agenda items 5.1 and 5.2 regarding the first reading of policies and regulations and the abolishment of policies 1648.11 and 1648.13. Are there any comments or objections? Moving on to 6.10, resolution 6.10, I apologize, in the education section of the agenda. Approval of items 6.1 through 6.9. Is there any board comment on these items? Moving on to section resolution 7.7 in the personnel section of the agenda, which is approval of agenda item 7.1 to 7.6. Is there any board comments or discussion? Thank you. Moving on to resolution 8.12 of the finance section of the agenda, approval of agenda items 8.1 through 8.11. Is there any board comments or suggestions? Thank you. Items 9.1, approval of application for use of school property. Is there any board comments on the resolution? Thank you. Moving on to the action items in tonight's agenda, resolution 10.3, approval of agenda items 10.1 and 10.2. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 10.3?
Motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Rocket. Do I have a second?
Chavez?
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Is there any board discussion regarding this item? May I have a roll call, Mr. Irfan?
Mrs. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes.
Mr. Navarro,
Yes.
Mrs. Oliva,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Rocket,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Committee, moving on to 11.1 on committee reports. Does anyone have any committee reports?
I do. The negotiation committee, just met and will be meeting with BEA tomorrow at 7.
Anyone else?
We had a finance meeting lately before the referendum, so we're pretty much trying to be as transparent as we can with the public.
Thank you. I think fully transparent, as
Yes,
we are.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? For our committee report, from my
Yes.
committee reports, go ahead, Mr. Navarro.
I'm sorry, a little delayed. I have a report from for the library. I paid a visit today and this morning. They're happy to report that the volunteer program that the high schools are able to participate in the library will finally be able to be brought back post-COVID. And there should be more info follow up more on that. The library will post more information on that. They also will have a few school visits for the upcoming days, and they're going to coordinate with the school officials on any future collaborating projects they may have with the library.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Anyone else?
I don't have a committee report, but I do have a report regarding the Bergen County School Board Association meeting that was recently, January 30th. I attended that meeting and the big discussion was about a mentoring program, and they're going out to other districts to get districts to actually provide a resolution of a mentoring program for so they can collaborate and put it all together and explain to the state how funding is needed. Some districts have already incorporated this type of program and found funds through sources that they are entitled to use the funds for. And when discussing this of what I knew, what I found out in that meeting, Mr. Kennedy actually informed me that Bogota has already been in the process of creating this mentoring program. So I was happy to hear that Bogota is already on top of it. What they were trying to do at that meeting was to get other districts to also get involved with this so that they can continuously go to the state and get, get more assistance for them. So it was a good informative meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else? Committee reports, as well as thanking the head of all PTOs in our district. So far, we've attended the middle school, myself and Mr. Kennedy. We had a very positive turnout with a very positive feedback. We then, yes, last night, have also attended the STEAM PTO. And there was a lot of people there. It was impressive. Nevertheless, some real positive feedback, some real positive questioning, that, really impressed me. Usually you have questions that come through with a very, two-pronged approach. These questions that I experienced last night were very direct, very, want to learn, wanted to be, informed and understand what an informed decision looked like. And then after the questions, as you know, this board and everyone has been very transparent. The administrators have been incredibly transparent. I will tell you that it was very positive. It was very positive. Just for the public to know, we have signs available, which whether you support it or not, I think you should take a sign. I think that you have to inform your neighbors and your voters to go out and vote so that the decision can be informative as a whole, and we can, all stakeholders have a say in the process. But I will tell you that it was a very impressive PTO meeting, and it went on for about 2 hours, right?
2.5.
2.5 hours. The district has done a phenomenal job in offering snacks, cookies, juices, movie nights. The kids are loving it. The kids are loving it. They're having, time to do their homework, do some movie nights, and parents are turning out and they're coming to ask questions. And I think there was a member of the public there as well who said, I don't have children in this, there was 2 to be exact, but I heard I can come, and they came, so it had nothing to do with dues and fees. And I think our next one is on the 15th, for Bixby, is that correct? Yes, it is the 15th. Yeah, it's Wednesday the 15th. But, and he'll clear for the record, I personally cannot be there. I'll be on a business trip. I leave the 15th in the morning. I will do everything I can to log in virtually, as I've done. I think we're an integral part of the process. For the record, and for those who may have some concerns, as I can tell that some of the questioning has come up about whether the town is having allowance or discussion. On the Green Acres question that came up, I took the liberties to contact Green Acres. It worked from the state all the way down to the county and onto our representative. If it's any questioning in regards to the Green Acres, there's a real clear way of getting it done, as long as it doesn't affect the overall public of Bogota, which obviously we are proposing something completely different. It's enhancing everything for the residents of Bogota. In my most recent discussions with members of the council, they will be seeking to move this referendum forward. That's our jurisdiction. And they do intend to have conversations after the public decides what they want to do. I think that's a fair ask. Why put the cart before the horse? If the public decides to move forward, the borough has agreed to have discussions and parameters to see how we can enhance Bogota together. With that being said, if there is any opposition from the borough, then I think we've all agreed that we will be enhancing the properties of the district, because the kids still deserve the best and the absolute utmost care. Also with that, Mr. Kennedy met, just to elaborate on, for the record, Mr. Kennedy did get to meet with the Senior Citizen Committee today. There was some good outcome out of there. There was good interest. Is that correct, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, I attended their luncheon today. Me and Irfan gave them where the district was coming from, but more importantly, he said, I just want to make sure you're aware of this. Please spread the word to your friends, but just giving them our side, what we plan on doing, why it would benefit them, in my opinion, why it benefits the community, and what they could get out of it if it does pass. So it was, I thought it was positive. You know, there's always gonna be some questions when it comes to taxes and things like that, which we completely understand. But I just wanted to make sure they knew what we were doing. I wanted them to hear it from me, why we were doing it, so that they're not hearing it from someone else. And I gave them all the information of where to look for more information, but more importantly, we're trying to set up that when we do our next town hall meeting in March, that we're gonna bus them to the senior citizens and stream it there for them, because it's easier for them to get up there, because they complained about trying to come up here would be tougher for them. So I said, well, here's what I would do, and they were like, they love that. So we're gonna try and stream it to them, and then I also invited them to the school play next time, that we would get them here, we'd try and bus them here and get them here to the play. Because a couple of them said, we wish we can come back, we used to go. So, you know, after COVID, everything slowed down, but I said, we're back, so let's get you back if you would like to be a part, so.
So for the record, we're meeting with every stakeholder in Bogota, one way or another. We're driving that information, unlike some who have said otherwise. The job is being done from the administration, from the Board of Ed. I see what you guys are doing. I thank you for that. I will also say that in looking at it, the mayor has also been very vocal in supporting this referendum. So kudos to that, right? It's good to hear that there's some support in different areas of town. So from the borough management to the senior citizens to the schools, I think we're working our way. And if anyone has ideas of what we're missing, I think it's great to bring it up to the administration. It's being done, and the public hears it. With that said, I think I'm good. So is anyone else? Okay, moving on to old business. Is there any old business the board would like to discuss? Moving on to 13.1, new business. Is there any new business the board would like to discuss? And 14.1, open to floor of the hearing of the public. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Idalia.
Idalia Alvarez. Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez. Mr. Ortega, were you the second? Thank you, Mr. Ortega. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any member who would like to speak from the public, whether present or online, please state your name and your address. You have 5 minutes. Nothing? Do you have a motion to close?
Motion?
Thank you, citizens.
Second.
Second, Mr. Navarro. Any board discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. We do not have an executive meeting today, so we will move on to motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, I will say I was excited to see that Steen is getting those floors that we played with at the convention. I'm very excited to see what that looks like, because it was a fun display, so glad we're getting it.
Yeah, so for the record, VC, we were able to, I mean, most of the board members attended the convention for the Board of Education members, and one, we attended a lot of courses. So we got some credit for QSAC, right, Mr. Irfan, when you take this credit? So I gotta say, you guys are a real active board. So we've attended courses, we scan our way in, and we got to see some additional stuff, and I want to give you, it was good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yep, and there's a Valentine's Day party for Steen School on Thursday. So anyone wants to show up, it's gonna be there, the kids are loving it. The PTO has done a great job there, so just so that every member knows. And motion to adjourn,
Motion?
is that Mrs. Rocket and Mr. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.